And hello, everybody. Welcome to the Gamer Social Club weekly news podcast. We are recording on Thursday, the 26th of June, 2025. Another late, muggy evening here in the UK. I am your host, as always, Harry, aka Knavish Crayfish, and another full squad this time around. We've got a full crew, which is nice. Gathers us all together for another episode. So we've got, as always, no empathy, only daggers. It's Lady V. How are you doing, V?
Fine. I still have no empathy, but today I have daggers and also coffee because it is quite late and I'm very tired.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, we'll try and keep this one to a nice brisk pace. We've also got the Steam Deck verified Mark, aka We Awoke in the Hive. How are you, my friend?
I'm a little bit more broke than when the Steam sale opened about 2 hours ago, Harry. So yeah, I'm all good.
he's fully baptized, which is great to see.
Truly.
Yeah. And of course, rounding out the team as always is our resident thespian, the greatest showman I know, Adam, aka Oh No, Not Addy. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Fresh off the back of a rehearsal, so I'm jazzed, quite literally, theatrical style. I'm very good. Good to see you guys. Jazz hands. Jazz hands for the next 10 minutes. No, no, that'd be
No.
I feel like I might give somebody an epileptic fit or something. Just like the strobe light.
I have to put a warning on the beginning of this one.
Yeah. May contain jazz hands.
Yes. And of course, yeah, if you are new here, we are the Gamer Social Club. If you are not new here and you've seen us before, hey, everybody, welcome back. But yeah, we are a site that covers the gaming news in general, along with reviews, previews, guides, editorials, and interviews when we can get them. We have our own site at www.gamersocialclub.ca. Of course, this is our YouTube channel that you've either stumbled across or you have possibly subscribed to already, which would be brilliant. We actually just hit 100 subscribers off the back of last week, which is great. So big milestone for us. Super happy here with that, and onwards and upwards, as it were. But yeah, if you enjoy what you see here today, consider dropping a like. And if you have any feedback for us or any comments you'd like to share, anything like that, drop them in the comment section below. And then, of course, yeah, if you'd like to see more, consider subscribing. Yeah, this is our usual rigmarole where we'll go through what we do and everything like that. We've got the 3 pillars of how we cover things here at Gamer Social Club. First and foremost, we run all of our news through a sort of rumor-free filter. So you don't have to worry about any of the stuff that you're getting from us being just hearsay from the internet through the social medias and things like that. We will only report on stuff if we are sure that it is factually true, and we will keep it up to date if it ever changes, as best we can at least. Secondly, when we review a game, we like to make sure we finish it, roll credits as it were, if we can. If it's a sort of game that doesn't have that, we will do the best we can to see the fullest experience in enough time. And the final one, I always forget one of them, don't I? What is it? What am I forgetting?
Oh. Is it that they were community led? Is that it?
Thank you very much. That's the one. We are grassroots.
You do them in a different order every time.
Because I'm forgetting one every time, and I have to then move them up. I have to reshuffle, and hopefully in the meantime my brain will remember the third one. We are a grassroots independent site that is all built on our passion for games and wanting to share that with all of you. So if you enjoy what we do here, obviously just go over and take a look at some where all our work is over at thegamersocialclub.ca. And yeah, consider subscribing to the channel here. We will be doing some moving around, I believe, with the YouTube channel regarding, we also have a guides channel, but you'll like to maybe see some movement with that, possibly all coming together again. We're working some things through over here. So yeah, keep an eye on that. And of course, we are on all the socials as well. We are on Twitter at gamer_s_c. And we are on Threads and Blue Sky at Gamer Social Club. We also have the Facebook page. And of course, all 4 of us here also have all of our socials. And anything that we talk about today regarding any of our articles or any of the news that we cover, alongside everything I've basically just talked about, is all down in the description below, as Adam has been signposting very well. Thank you very much, buddy. Yeah, with that, I think that is the rigmarole out the way. And we go into our first section, as always, which will be a what have we been playing? And this will be a little bit longer, I think, because I think everybody here has stuff they can talk about, which is nice for a change, because for the last few weeks, I haven't had anything. But I'll let some of you guys go first, because I've got a couple of games I've been playing. alongside what I've been reviewing, and that's finally out. So yeah, V, why don't you kick us off with what you have been playing?
Okay, so most of this week I have been playing a game called Crown Gambit, which is a tactical card-based RPG that's available on Steam. So I will be reviewing it, but it's already out. So if you are interested in it, you can go and pick it up on Steam at the moment. But yeah, it's super fun. It's super fun. I'm liking the fact that even though it's card-based, it's not a roguelike, as most card games are now. So, you know, you've got your 3 characters and there's lots of decisions that can be made that will change the outcome of the story. So your 3 paladins, you have these specific relics that help you do like super attacks at certain points. But if you use them too much, you're liable to go mad, which is quite fun. So there's like a nice balance to it. But it's all like a card-based grid that changes depending on what sort of combat encounter and things like that you're in. But you can upgrade your deck, or you can upgrade your heroes. You can choose whether or not you want to talk to people on the road and maybe kill them if you're feeling particularly nasty that day, or you've just had a really bad day at work and you think that you're going to take it out on some fictional character, or you can spare them and then see how that actually progresses the story. So you might run into characters later on. So I've played a couple of hours of it so far, and it's really, really good fun. As it is a tactical card-based RPG, there's a very high chance that I'm not very good at it because I am not very good at thinking far in advance. So planning out moves and stuff like that has been a little bit of a challenge. There are difficulty modes on it. I'm stupidly playing it on the hardest difficulty because I also think I'm more intelligent than I am, until I'm very frequently confronted with that fact. But no, it's super fun. The characters are really fun. I like the fact that they're all different. They've all got their own motivations. They all have really nice fleshed out backstories, and it works into the world. So you know, if you're interested in card-based games, but you're like me, maybe getting a little bit sick of the fact that everything card-based that comes out is a roguelike, or just the fact that every game that seems to come out is a roguelike, you know, you could pick it up on Steam at the moment. But yeah, it's super fun. I'm really excited to play more of it, get through it, and hopefully have a nice review up at some point next week. But yeah, that's what I've been playing. I've also played a little bit of AI, Somnium Files, and Nirvana Institute, but I will save that discussion for a later pod that myself and Candy from the site are doing later on this week. So you can have our full thoughts about that later, after I've had some beers, potentially.
Very exciting. Yeah, look forward to hearing more about that. Cool, that's fun. Mark, how about you, buddy? What have you been up to?
I've been playing a couple of things alongside my continued journey through Expedition 33. The first one I want to bring up though is Peak, and I've just heard that it's hit 2 million sales today, which is amazing. And frankly, the game does exactly what it says on the tin. It's pretty bloody Peak. I'm really enjoying it. So if anyone's not seen Peak over the last week, it came out on Steam as a kind of I believe it was a game jam game that started through Aggro Crab, is something that they were talking about on their socials. But it's a climbing game, and it's got very kind of human fall flat physics to the game. You can play it solo, you can play it co-op, which I've not had a chance to do yet, but looking forward to getting stuck into some of that with V, and sharing frustration as we try to climb the third peak of the game, which I've not managed to scale yet. But it's really good fun. There's a lot more mechanics to it than I expected. So as you climb the peaks, you need to manage your stamina. You need to eat. You need to find equipment. You need to manage your weight. And what I've realized when I got to the third mountain was you need to make sure you don't freeze to death, which is a complete pain in the ass. So everything is going against you as you try to get atop these wonderful, really scalable mountains. There are things that jump out as you go along, so you can pick out various different lunchboxes, which can give you a roulette of good or bad things. So it really is. It's very roguelike in a way, and I must admit I'm not the biggest rogue type of game fan, but there are definitely rogue elements to it. You can play it up to 4-player co-op, and I know there's been some absolutely hilarious clips of the game going around the last week or so on social media. But it's really a really fun game. Something that's causing me, that's been really good fun to play alone, and I can't wait to play co-op with some of the GSC guys. But yeah, it's been really good fun, and yeah, one of 2 million people who've picked it up, so it's clearly doing really well for Aggro Crab, a really good fun developer. So yeah, that's been great.
Yeah, it's really good to see that game, see the success it's getting. And again, yeah, like Aggro Crab themselves, you know, I think they said it very plainly, like, oh man, like a game like this, I think it was for it hitting 1 million sales originally, or maybe it was for hitting 2 million. But they basically said, like, you know, we spend years on another Crab's Treasure, that doesn't hit this sort of sales, and then we spend 4 months, you know, tidying up this jam game, and we hit 2 million in a week. And it's just like, yeah, that's the fickle kind of nature of the industry, isn't it? Sadly, in a weird way. But you know, kudos to them. You know, congrats to them and Landfall, who are the other developers who worked with them, who are the guys behind Content Warning, which obviously took off earlier this year, I think it was. That was quite a big, another sort of quite big social game on Steam.
I think a lot of the sales and stuff are sort of driven from streamers and it just looking super funny to play. Because I've not played it yet, but I'm very excited to jump on with all of you. But I have watched some streamers play it, and it just looked hilarious. Just, you know, because of the proximity chat and stuff like that as well. So like, if you are falling down a mountain or someone is falling down a mountain next to you, you can just hear them like screaming somewhere off in the background. Like, yeah. Or I know when we all play together, there will be a moment where someone pushes someone else off a cliff. Deliberately, 100%. You know, it's going to happen. It'll all be fine until someone decides they want to steal someone else's like rope or something like that.
That's
you know, just be like,
keep
okay,
eating all the food.
But no, I'm super excited to jump in with you guys.
Yeah, it does look like a lot of fun. And
it's super cheap as well. It's super cheap.
Yeah.
It's, I think I paid about under £4 in the launch discount. Even now, it's only about £6, so probably about $7-8, I would imagine, for American audiences. So yeah, it's super cheap and really, really accessible. So I've been playing on Steam Deck. It sets the Steam Deck on fire a little bit. It's super hot when I'm playing it, but yeah, it's, you know, low price of admission, and you know, some cheaper games are having a really good year, aren't they?
Definitely, yeah. And I think I'm going to pick this up then after this. I'll get Peak as well, and we can all jump on together. That'd be good fun. And we got to figure out a way to record us streaming together. That'd be a good time. I think that would be a great title to try and get us all playing together. That'd be a lot of fun.
Some DLC content for the podcast.
Yeah.
Us pushing ourselves off mountains, like, or pushing each other off mountains.
Virtual mountains. We're not going on a hike, not anymore.
GSC team building. How about you, Billy? Adam, what have you been up to? What have you been playing?
Me and a couple of friends finally finished with Gears Judgment on Insane. So we've been trying to work through some of our backlog, and we wanted to, so not only on Insane, the reason it took us so long, because we're pretty, sounding very modest here, but we're pretty good at Gears, but the classified modifiers, some of those are horrendous. So if you're not familiar, that every chapter you can like add an extra kind of thing that happens. So it's foggy, or it's really shaky, or the enemies have different weapons, or you only have certain weapons, and it just really ups the difficulty. So we try to get 3 stars in every level with those difficulties on, and then do it on Insane. And there were some sections we spent a whole night on, and other sections we power through, and it just, we got there though. It was really satisfying to finish at the end. So that was really good fun. And we did, and then we started on Night Rain as a trio as well, so we could. Obviously, I've done 4 bosses, obviously, so far. So I've had to carry them into so they managed to get the first 2 done. Honestly, still hate the second one. It sucks so much. That bloody nonsense toothy dragon bitch. Can't be doing with him. But we did him.
There was this carrying energy when you made us fight the tree sentinel for 10 minutes the last time we all played. Like,
We do these decisions collectively. Let's just, should we fight him? Yeah, let's do it. And then it's my fault that we all fought him. Yeah, I see how that is.
I specifically remember saying I don't think we should fight him. Like,
after Julia, like, let's do it. And then halfway through it, went, I don't think we should have been doing this. Like, well, you should have spoken up earlier in the meeting we had before we struck at him.
Or huddled. Okay, guys.
So yeah, that's been good.
You're the first person getting pushed off the cliff. First person off the cliff.
Resetting all this, bitch. So apart from that, I've also been playing. I wrote a review for the site on Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which I talked a bit about last week, but once I kind of got my thoughts down and finished that, I actually really appreciated what they did with it in terms of what they related it and the whole point of it. Would, like, I really appreciate, because there's a lot of, like I said it in my review, we tend not to really appreciate the level of research and dev that goes into making a device that eventually comes to market, like the technology that goes behind it, the considerations for every little element, about usability, about longevity, about durability, all those different things that we take as a given, have to have somebody thinking about it, working on it, researching it, and then like how they evolve from the previous Switch to this Switch. And it's kind of really interesting to, because they give you loads of insights around the decisions they took to, like, you know, the way it feels in your hands, and how they make the battery bigger, and how they make sure it stays cool, which bit's not allowed to get too hot, so where did they place it? And there's a vacuum in here with water droplets in it that turns into steam, and then to move heat away from the center, and then it turns back to water, and then the water then turns into steam to remove the heat away from, like, to circulate the heat in the system. Like, that's fascinating.
It has a liquid cooling system, basically.
Like, yeah, like an inbuilt, like
condenser.
a vacuum with water droplets trapped inside, so it just constantly moves the heat away from the center of the thing to keep it cool. Like, so there's really cool stuff and like insights in there that I said in my review. I feel like it should be something that should. I do think it should have been included, because I think everybody needs to be seeing that detail, because I think there's a lot of, not necessarily in, like, I want to call us proper gamers, not the online warriors. They need to be sat down and like made to play this, because like you can't just say just do this and just change that, because it's not that simple. There's a lot of work that goes into these things, and you don't know what you're talking about. So like you need a re-education and get off and play some games, for Christ's sake. But it's already hard. They wouldn't pay for it anyway. I think it'd be hard enough to get them to play it for free. But like I feel like I want all companies to do this. Like, if I got a new iPhone and I kind of like this, there's a reason it costs this much. This is why. I mean, maybe not for iPhones. That's a bad example. Maybe we've been making the same thing for 10 years. It doesn't need to be this expensive. No. Anyway, like this is why we've made this decision. This is why there's a fan at the bottom and it draws air up and all that sort of stuff. There's some, like with the mouse bits, right? There's a lot of mouse tech demos in it. And the one thing that I really found out, like, when you attack, so this has got a dual purpose. Like, I thought these were just like in the Wii, so you don't lose it out your hand when you're swinging it around. But when you actually attach this on, it's more stable for your mouse. So because it creates bigger surface area, so it's not as wibbly when you're actually doing the mouse controls. So like I've not clocked that, and then you learn it. Like, it has been really well thought out, and I really appreciated that. The problem with it, though, is because it's just done with, here's all this text. Read all of the text, and then do a quiz on it. And I'm like, that's not fun, though, is it? Like, it's interesting, but it's not fun. Like, doing a test. Like, it'd have been great if, like, if it's a tour, get Mario to take, get him to demonstrate, get Mario to introduce a bit of information, or take me through it. Get the characters in the Nintendo world to make it more involved, I suppose, because the tech demos and the little mini games are quite fun to test out the different systems. There's a lot of mouse games in there because they really want to show off the mouse controls, but they're good fun and they work, and you can see the potential they might have for games in the future. I said it last time, but the sound one where they made the rumble make a sound is just so weird and wild, and I love it. But yeah, so it's worth playing. It's not expensive. I think it was £7. Yeah. $7.99 or something. So $10 probably. So if you want to kind of really get under the hood of it all, and I think it is made really well, I just don't think it's overly engaging in terms of here's a wealth of information. It's fun to explore and see all of the bits of it, and they've really gone into detail with everything. There's one bit I couldn't get to work though. There's a when you're trying out the camera thing, and I've got that little piranha plant camera, and he's sat in the top of my thing, and it can see my face. I can see my camera showing my face, but it wouldn't register. I could have stood. I feel like I could have stood under the sun and it wouldn't have picked me up because I was literally because you might need more light. Like I'm stood outside. Like, like what do you want? I didn't get to play that mini.
Because it's in 480p, that little piranha plant camera. It's like not high enough resolution.
Maybe that's what it is. You can see me. You just couldn't like it did this really like simple. So I was copying the favour. That's very much the thing. Or having none of it. But no, I would recommend playing it, but with the knowledge that there's a lot of reading involved, so it's not just going in with the right expectations. I suppose is what I'm thinking because I think it is really interesting. It's just not delivered in the most engaging way. But
yeah.
So
I mean that's the general impression I got from reading your review about it, and it's funny the way you were talking about it though. And talking about like how it seems strange that they haven't brought the Nintendo roster of characters into this to somehow be part of it. You're right. It strikes me as now really odd that of all of the big three to have not done this, it seems strange that Nintendo weren't the ones to lead the charge. Instead, it was PlayStation with Astrobot doing it. You know, and they did it, and they managed to get a whole bunch of other publishers with their own IPs just to basically go up to me like, hey, look, we've known each other for a long time. You know, we used to hang out. Like, come on, just put your character in the game. And all of them just basically went, yeah, sure, why not? You know, it's a big celebration. It's an anniversary. It's a great game. Let's do it. Nintendo own all of these brilliant characters. They'll put them into, you know, Smash Brothers together. They'll put them into Mario Kart. You know, I know they're not all in the new Mario Kart anymore, but they did with 8, and the likelihood is that we'll see them be added as DLC characters with Mario Kart World. But at the same time, like it's like this is such a no-brainer. Like you've also seen PlayStation do it already with Astrobot. Like, yeah, have Mario show up to do a bit about, you know, the mouse, you know, functionality, and then have Link show up, you know, to do something else to do with the motion controls or whatever, or you know, have Kirby explaining the how the cooling system. For Christ's sake, the dude literally is a Hoover. Like, just you know, have Kirby show up and he can just you know dance about and explain everything for a brief period. It would at least give it a bit more character and have it you know follow suit with everything else that Nintendo seems so happy to do with these characters, where they're putting them in games together, they're building theme parks around them and stuff like that, like incorporating everything together. And yet, when they have this sort of seemingly perfect opportunity just not fall in their lap, they made it themselves, obviously. But you know, it just seems odd they didn't do what you'd expect, I guess.
Yeah, and you're much more likely to sell it with all of that work, right? With the Nintendo, like at the moment, like for me, I feel like it should have been like given the Astro's Playroom was a pack-in with the PS4, PS5, the PS5, the OG PS5. It feels like forever ago but like that was free with the console, and then like this one isn't free. But like if you were dying to sell it, but it put all the Nintendo characters in, you would totally sell that, and you probably sell it for more than the £7 or £8 it is now as well. You could probably get away with
Nintendo ideas to take more money.
I think they should do that, but it feels more justifiable than what this is. I think that's my feeling.
Yeah, I'd agree. And again, you look at what the Astrobot game was that was free with the PS5, and that was basically a short but full game, as opposed to what Welcome Tour is, which is, as you say, like a couple of little tech demos and things like that with a lot of text to read, and like an overworld to explore, you know, for all the different bits of it. But otherwise, it's not comparable. You know, at the end of the day, Astrobot doesn't spend much time being very technical. It's just like, hey, you know, the cooling system, it's brand new, and so the level's going to be all cold and frosty. You know, we're going to do the GPU next, and that's all about graphics and that sort of stuff. But otherwise, they're not explaining the nitty gritty of it. But yeah, Welcome Tour, sorry. It just feels like it's lacking something there. Just even when we saw it was just like, why not have Mario running around explaining things in Princess Peach and Bowser and everybody? It'd be lovely. It'd be great. Anyway, I was busy for the last few weeks reviewing a game called Roughly in the Riverside, which got released today, which I'm very happy about, because I can actually talk about it. My review is up on the site alongside a bunch of guides I did for it. It is a 3D platformer / collectathon game, very heavily inspired by the sort of late 90s era sort of Banjo-Kazooies, Spyro the Dragon's, Crash Bandicoots, Mario 64. So if you grew up with those or have gone back and played those, you'll have a very good idea of what this is already. But it's this really zany, wacky, kind of, colorful and very creative game, which when I first saw it, with the trailers and then tried out the demo for it, I was like, if they can pull off what they have here through to the end, as far as I'm concerned, they will have done something really special, which they did, as far as I feel. Obviously, you can check out my full review about it on the site. But what really sets this game apart is not only has it got this really cool visual style where it's a 3D world, very classic, like blocky, polygonal, like you would do with one around the Spyro Dragon world, or levels, or Banjo-Kazooie and stuff like that. It's also got hand-drawn 2D sprites as all the characters, which is a brilliant kind of blending of two medias, which I always enjoy seeing. And then alongside just being a fun game to run around in and explore, because that's this kind of focus of the gameplay, the kind of mechanic that sets it apart is a thing called the swap, which is this sort of power ability that the main character Ruffy, this little bear with a cape that you play as, has. And again, like any of these sort of games, if you're going into this hoping for any sort of reasonable narrative and like simple premise, you're in the wrong place. This is a story of MacGuffins. This is a story of talking animals and a tree of life and the edge of the world, and you ride on hay bales to go across the sort of hub area. You can do races on hay bales. There's a half pipe event where you have to do tricks. You're collecting butterflies. It's a whole slew of different things in it. But the swap mechanic is this thing which allows you to highlight a texture or a color or maybe a symbol on something and store it like you've copied it, basically like a copy and paste function. And then you can look at something else and highlight it. And if it's compatible, you can then swap the previous texture or whatever onto the new one, changing how it behaves possibly and things like that. So something as simple as changing a river from water into lava, that will then allow you to maybe burn a nearby obstacle, and then you can pass through it and things like that, or freeze a lake to then run over it to the other side before it defrosts, because some of them will only last a certain amount of time. So you're constantly having to look around you and be quite observant, thinking of how you can apply this swap ability. Oh, I need to climb up to this high area to get to the next one of the other areas of the game. There's 7 off of this hub basically, and so to access them all you have to try and figure out how to get to them. And you'll be looking around oh, there's a waterfall. Oh, what could I possibly use? Oh, there's some vines on that wall. If I highlight the vines, I can swap those onto the waterfall, which lets me then transform the whole waterfall into a huge thing of vines to climb up very easily, and you've then accessed a whole new area. And again, a lot of it's quite simple and feels very intuitive, and the controls as well are great. It's just on 2 buttons, just on the shoulder and trigger on the right hand side of the controller, so it's super easy to understand and get used to. And then it just becomes about trial and error, experimenting, seeing what you can do with what, and keeping an eye out for telltale signs of where collectibles might be hidden, because it's 30 butterflies, I said before. There are these little fuzzy nature spirits called Itoi that hide, and you have to find them in trees that are shaking. So you'll swap the texture of a rock onto the tree to petrify the tree so it can't shake anymore, and then he'll fall out and you'll have collected him. There's all sorts of stuff like that going on all the time, and it's just it's just a huge playground, very, very creative and imaginative. I would say the pacing's a bit wonky. if anything, that's probably the one thing that threw me off the most, just because there's some beats in it which just feel like they would almost just sort of like, oh, we need to, get them to go over to this place because we've built this cool environment we want to show off and stuff like that. And it's fine. It doesn't really detract from it too massively, but at the same time, it is noticeable. Yeah, the last thing I'll say about it is that it's got a brilliant main theme, super funky, one of the funkiest songs I've heard in 2025, which is brilliant. I really enjoyed that. But yeah, for my full review of that, as I said, check it out on the site. Since playing that, I then treated myself to downloading Lost in Random, The Eternal Die on Game Pass, which I've been enjoying. That's the sort of sequel to Lost in Random, which came out, I think, in like 2023, I want to say. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head.
It's a little bit earlier than that, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it
last
was.
years.
Yeah, it was in the last
2020,
5 or so
21.
Yeah, I think that's about right. But yeah, roguelike, isometric, to action with like RPG mechanics. Really enjoying that. Cool vibe, same sort of visual style and aesthetic, which is cool. Easy to pick up gameplay, and yeah, made it to the last boss. I haven't beaten him yet. I'll try and beat him, and then I will probably try and get a review out for that as well. But the game I actually want to highlight, if anything, is a little small indie, which I saw shown off again at the Cerebral Puzzle showcase during the showcase season, called Isles of Sea and Sky, which is this brilliant little Sokoban puzzle game. And if you don't know what a Sokoban puzzle game is, that is basically a sort of sliding block puzzle game. And if you think back to like the sort of Game Boy Zelda game, something like that, it's got that sort of vibe to it. You are a little sort of it has a very sort of Polynesian vibe to me. That's what it kind of gives off. So islanders, beautiful blue skies and ocean, sandy beaches, and from what I can tell, it's sort of based on that sort of part of the world. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, it's this kind of Game Boy feeling puzzle game where you're moving around environments from like screen to screen on islands, like pushing blocks to like solve puzzles, collect artifacts to then gain new powers that let you unlock new areas. You ride around on the back of a giant turtle to visit new islands on like a world ocean map, which is pretty cool. And the whole point is there's a girl who you seem to be following. You're a young man, and you've washed up on the beach. There's no text, no dialogue whatsoever. Just a really nice, soothing soundtrack that I've been really enjoying. It's very mixed. It's got a lot of different songs to it through all the different environments I've already visited in just the like 2 hours I've played. And it's got some DLC coming out next in July. So I thought like I'll get started on that now and try and finish the game first before the DLC comes out, so I can jump straight into that. So yeah, actually had some games to talk about. So forgive me for taking a bit of the time here, but it's always nice to try and talk about the games we've been playing. But yeah, speaking of which, it's been a sort of a quieter week for news. We've been covering a lot of it over on the site, so please do go and check out everything we've been writing about there. And we'll probably drop a few links to some of our articles in the description below. But we kind of thought, coming to the end of June, we're sort of halfway through 2025. So we actually thought we'd, do a little bit of a retrospective and maybe look back and think about some of the games we'd like to highlight, from the first 6 months of the year along, maybe even consider what are our current picks for Game of the Year for the four of us at least. And just, probably use this episode for that, have a bit of fun, take it easy in this heat, and we'll see what the games industry brings us for next week. Maybe we'll have some big headlines to talk about, fingers crossed. But yeah, we haven't really talked about how we were going to handle this exactly. We kind of all just said that we'd be up for doing it. So yeah, should we do like a roundtable, like everyone to highlight a game maybe from the last 6 months they want to do, and we can do it a couple of times around? Sound good?
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Sounds good.
In that case, to start us off, let's go with Adam. What would be your first pick for 2025 so far? And it doesn't have to be a Game of the Year contender. It could just be a game you want to highlight, let's say. I don't know. You can specify.
Ooh, how many times are we going around, do you think?
Well, I mean, again, let's see. We're about halfway through now, I would say. So we want to give us a, three. Let's double three times around.
Okay. I think the first one would probably be. It's tricky, actually. Was it Atomfall? I think probably. I don't. Unfortunately, I don't see it like appearing on the Game of the Year list, and there are an amazing number of games already that will be on that list, sure. But I think Atomfall was really engaging, and I really enjoyed it for what they created with it in terms of what. Because I know some people went in. I know, Mark, you didn't get on with it, but like for the whole just exploring the investigative, pulling things together, hearing snippets here and there as you're just in a woods somewhere, and being really sneaky and stealthy and picking up bits that don't make any sense, and then going to another town like, oh my god, okay, this makes sense now. I'll go speak to the baker, and oh, that guy's dead, and all that sort of stuff. And you try to unravel this kind of really kind of layered mystery, and then there's multiple ways for you to get out and resolve what's going on, and figuring out what's going on in the quarantine zone, and just the kind of the British humor with some like fun combat and gunplay and some wild characters and excellent accents. It was just super fun. I really enjoyed it. I've just gone back to it because I've just started on the DLC that they just released. And you can only access it early on. So I thought I'd load in like an old save and then just go to the DLC area, but you've got to be like in the first couple of hours, otherwise you miss your opportunity to go there because they've added some new endings in. So like the idea is that you again, your exploration informs how you then progress. So you can't be too far down the line. You can't have killed everyone and go, right, I was going to go see this other island now. But no, I had a lot of fun with it. I think Rebellion have had a fantastic year this year. I haven't played Zombie Army VR yet, but they've that and Sniper Elite Resistance, which I would give an honorable mention to as well, because I had an awesome time with Sniper Elite Resistance. It's just like the definitive Sniper Elite game for me. It's just, yeah. So I think they've had a really good year of Rebellion. So yeah, I would say both of those. As I cheated and put both of Rebellion's games in my first choice.
Only just started and he's already breaking the rules. Unbelievable.
There's so many
He
good
doesn't
games
get to go in the
this year,
next
man.
go around. Like,
Yeah, we'll just skip over Adam.
Yeah.
We had like a million games last time we did this. So
I think Atomfall, I think is a great pick as well, because I've really enjoyed what I've played of it so far. I still haven't finished it. Unfortunately, I do need to go back. Again, just the difficulty of trying to cover all these games is just you sometimes have to sacrifice what you're playing at that time and move on to the next thing. There's so many already in that part. I only just recently went back and finished South of Midnight, which I really enjoyed finishing that, seeing that through to the end. But I need to do that with Atomfall because that's such a it's great. The lack of hand holding in that game is refreshing in that sort of game. Yeah, really like it. Mark, what would be your first pick for 2025 so far?
So, because we're having this discussion, I thought I'd bring up my true achievement list to see what games I've actually played this year, because I'm starting to lose track already. I mean, you get halfway through the year, it's a common thing to do. I just realised how many games I've dropped this year, which is really unusual. I'm normally a big completionist. I've had many gaming epiphanies this year, but not completing games has definitely become one. So I think the first one I want to highlight is South of Midnight. One of the few games I've played all the way through this year. Yeah, that game really impressed me on a number of levels. And I think the first thing was the visuals, and that was a big part of the game when they announced it. The kind of stop motion style of the game, the really cool graphics, the stop motion of the characters, and how it all kind of blended together to make a really interesting world. And when you throw in the Southern American music into the game, with a really interesting character stories, which some of them were actually quite gut-wrenchingly sad. So there were some really good stories to some of the side characters in there. I think that South of Midnight was one of those games that comes along, it did what it needed to do. It was the right duration of probably 8 to 10 hours for average playthrough, and it was just the right amount of time for the right amount of game. And I think if it was half the length again, it may have been a bit too much. Had slight issues with the combat. I think it was a bit plain and a bit stale by the end, but the traversal was absolutely superb. And I had such a good time with South of Midnight, and I really hope it's a game that more people get their hands on. And I know we've even had a bit of a sing-song of it on this podcast before, but some of the boss music was absolutely fantastic. So I don't think I'll ever let Two Toe Tom leave my head. But yeah, really great game, and hopefully more people get to play it when it inevitably ends up on PlayStation at some point in the next 6 months, which is just inevitable. So that would be my first pick of what's been a interesting year so far.
Yeah. Be interesting to see what other ones you pick up. But yeah, South of Midnight definitely was another one, as I said earlier, for me as well. Really enjoyed seeing that through the end. Glad I did. And I thought some of the I think actually nearly all of the performances in it as well were brilliant. The voice acting, I think they did a really, really good job. And yeah, again, fantastic soundtrack. Visuals seem to be a big thing for this year. I feel like there's been a lot of cool games with very interesting, unique visual styles. I'll probably end up highlighting at least one of those myself. But before I do that, V, why don't you give us your first pick for 2025 so far?
Yeah, much like Mark, I've sort of forgotten a lot of the games that I've played so far this year because they keep bringing loads and loads of them out, just one after the other. But I think the first one I'd like to highlight is Ender Magnolia Bloom in the Mist. So I don't know if anyone here has played Ender Lilies, but it's a 2D Metroidvania where when you kill certain enemies, then you can then summon them to fight for you. You play as like a young girl who that doesn't have any combat ability, so you sort of summon them or summon their attacks as you fight. And the first one was really, really fun, really great Metroidvania, and the second one just fully refined the concept, and I think made it even better. It's probably one of the best Metroidvanias of the past couple of years. It's certainly up there, and just it takes all of the things that the first one did really well and just makes it fantastic. Because in the first one, there's some bits and bobs where you might not use your abilities too much, and they obviously seem to realize that and made the abilities super useful. And this one, or the abilities of the homunculi that you kill throughout it, and you get super attacks for them. You get alternate abilities. You can equip 4 of them at once, so you can really customize it towards how you would like to play the game. And the exploration, combat, story, and things like that are just fantastic. And I think it came out pretty early on in the year. I want to say either January or February. And because the year thus far has been so stacked, I think sort of a lot of people have just sort of forgotten that it came out, because I know that Ender Lilies was really popular and there was a lot of hype around Ender Magnolia when it was announced. But I don't really hear anyone talking about it anymore. And I think it's probably just because we then went through 3 months of just oh, here's Avowed, and here's South of Midnight, and here's Blueprints, and here's here's all these Game of the Year contenders that people were really hyping up, and then something else came out. And it's oh, these probably aren't Game of the Year contenders anymore. But I'd love it to get at least a nod for Indie Game of the Year. I think it was a cracking game, and I think more people should play it.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like it was really special. I remember seeing pictures of Ender Lilies. Was that the first one? Did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that, and again, really liked the visuals of it, and gameplay looked tough. I think that's probably what my immediate thought
they're
was.
both Souls-like Metroidvanias, so the combat is a big focus of them, but I know they're not too difficult. You'll be fine.
We'll see. Yeah, if I can find time, definitely try and go back. Always in the mood for Metroidvania, and warming up to more roguelikes and Souls-likes as we go. Yeah, I think my first pick of 2025, I think I'm going to give it to The Midnight Walk, because obviously I reviewed that last month, and it's the new game from Moonhood, and it was I think it's just an incredible achievement in and of itself. Just the fact that this whole game was built literally by hand, because it's all stop motion figurines claymation on screen. Pretty much everything you see has been made and animated by hand, from what you see from your first person point of view, to the environments, to the animations of characters. And yeah, it's just a startling amount of work that's gone into this game, and you can feel it and see it throughout from beginning to end. There's so many sort of interesting, weird, memorable characters in this very peculiar kind of. It feels almost sort of like it's you're playing an urban myth, or like a world that's just like full of urban myths, walking down this road called the Midnight Walk with your little pothead friend who's got a fire in him, and he lights the way, and all this sort of stuff, and you're trying to hide from spooky monsters that feed off of fire. And it's got this really interesting sort of ambience to it, and just beautiful. Honestly, just really beautiful in how kind of like spooky and weird it can be, but also just in like the telling of its kind of quite kind of, I wouldn't say surreal necessarily, maybe a bit of a stretch, but it's got quite a kind of heady kind of narrative, I'd say, to it, with lots of kind of fables being used to kind of explain parts of what's going on through chapters and stuff like that. It's a wonderful sort of first person, predominantly stealth, I would say, experience. There's a light puzzle solving in there, but yeah, every moment I played that game, even when doing the guides and stuff for it, I was loving every second of it. So yeah, that'd be my first pick, the Midnight Walk. Adam, second pick. Don't make it a double. Don't do it again.
No, I won't. Maybe.
We're watching now.
I think my second pick is Avowed, which you forget released this year. I did, but I haven't finished it yet. But I'm in the last area.
Yeah.
But I got so hooked on it. I just really enjoyed it. I love the world they created, the character dynamics, the combat was really fun. Like with the different types, like you got the melee and the sword, the magic, and just throwing stuff around, and there's a lot of options, and I really liked it, and it felt really satisfying to clear the map and get rid of the fog and see everything and do all the side quests. And some of the missions are like some of the fun missions, like going around and getting drinking buddies together, but they're not really buddies because the guys try to sabotage them, and then you're like, oh, who am I going to side with? Who do I believe? And there's a lot of like morality and stuff to think about, and you've got this voice in your head that's talking to you, and you can tell it to piss off if you want. And it's just really fun, and it's really intriguing, and I love that there's direction, because like here's the quest, but you could easily fuck up a quest and like, oh well, I guess that's the way that's going. Yep. And like, but there's no like, oh, you failed, start again sort of thing. It's like, no, that's done. And I just love it. I think
I've done that a couple times.
The world is really well realized. The lore feels really good, because Obsidian are amazing what they do out. They just so I just love that, and I'm going to really prioritize over the summer. My opinion might change if they really fuck the ending, but I don't feel like they will, because they've got a good track record, haven't they? So yeah, that's mine. I loved it. I love it. I love the variety of colours and the scenes and the world. It's just great. Love it.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed.
1 point removed, because you cannot actually romance Kai. Like, you get 1 point removed from that. Like,
it can never be a 10.
Fanfiction, doesn't it? You can romance your fan. It's fine.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed my time with it as well. That is one I do need to go back to. That is on the pile of shame right now to go and finish. I think I'm in the third area, and yeah, I've definitely definitely bungled a few quests here and there, and just had to live with the mistakes. Be like, I guess that's just one that doesn't go in the finished pile. Okay. And yeah,
They proper make like every choice. I'm like, oh, what do I do?
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
you get that to make a decision. You're like, I don't know. I don't want to upset the digital person. Like, I don't want to be mad at me.
Again, it goes back
Yeah,
to
as
the
long
meme.
as Craig the Fishman is okay with my choices, then I am fine. Like, I
Still
want
upset
to
him.
impress one person. Like,
What do you think, Kai?
Yeah.
yeah, I ask that all the time. Like, what would you do in this situation?
And it's funny you pick Avowed as well as your second one, because like you said, with Atomfall and Rebellion having a great year. I mean, it's the year of Obsidian, isn't it? You know, especially after the announcements from the showcase announcing Grounded 2, and we've got the Outer Worlds 2 coming as well. Like, yeah, I mean, we're just playing in it. It's their world. We're just playing in it.
Do it. Do it.
Mark, your second pick for 2025 so far.
So I'm going to stick with the theme of games that I beat, and it is quite a short list, as I said before. The second game for me to pick on the list is Lush Foil Photography Sim, and so far is absolutely my game of the year. I absolutely adored my time with Lush Foil. It's a photography game. You're walking around beautiful vistas in loads of different continents around the world. All real world places that have been beautifully recreated in Unreal Engine 5 by one guy, a gentleman called Matt Newell, and I don't know how he's done this, but the worlds look absolutely stunning. Fundamentally, it's a game where you walk around and take pictures of things, which kind of sounds a bit dull, if you know, on paper. And in many ways it is, but I think that's the beauty of it. And walking around some of these places, it's some of the most relaxing video game time I've had in years. Some of the places in the likes of Nepal, in the Himalayas, some of the places that you go to in southern France, in Italy, I would happily just walk around them for hours and hours and on end. Not necessarily even taking pictures, but just playing it as a walking sim. And I love walking sim games. Gave it a 9 out of 10 in my review on the site earlier this year, and my track record of games I've picked for review is rather woeful, and that's been a rare rose in amongst thorns. But yeah, Rushfall really caught me off guard. It's something I was watching for a long time, but didn't really expect it to be much of a game. I thought it would be something I'd hop in for a couple of hours, take a few pictures, jump out pretty bored. But there is a real video game in there as well, alongside the kind of walking around being a trainee photographer. And honestly, so far, my game of the year. I'm pretty sure by the time I'm done with Expedition 33, it'll be kicked off the top of the pedestal. But that wouldn't be a bad thing to come second to. So yeah, that's my second pick. Loved it. Really can't recommend it enough. And I'm just going to say how absolutely sickened I am with the Xbox community, because on True Achievements, only 98 people have played this game. So sort your shit out, Xbox community.
That's sad. That's a real shame, because that is a really special looking game. Just because the visual fidelity is off the charts on that one. It's like looking at Flight Sim. That's another one where it's just one of those games you just look at and it's like, that's just live footage, surely. Like, that's not gameplay. Like, it's insane. And Lush Foil Photography Sim has exactly that level of fidelity. It's crazy. Like, looking at your screenshots when like sorting out the guides and stuff like that, but I was going like just doing a little bit of editing before, and it's like, these just look like photos. It's just photos from holidays. It's crazy. Yeah, very, very cool game. V, your second pick, please, for 2025 so far.
Yeah, I think my second pick, I'll go with my theme of picking up things that were earlier on in the year that I think people might have forgotten about. But my second pick would be 2 Point Museum, which I think is a fantastic game and a great addition to the 2 Point like franchise. I got to review it for the site and I had so much fun with it. I didn't play 2 Point Campus, but I did play 2 Point Hospital, and I have probably too many hours in 2 Point Hospital, to be honest. I got loads of them. But it's such a fun game, and 2 Point Museum was just more of the same. I liked the fact that there was like a little bit more to it than there was in just like a standard management. Like, you have to train up your staff, but not just so that they can do certain things within the museum. You have to send them on little expeditions, and there's choices that you make in the expeditions, because otherwise they might die. And just like send them to go and find different things for your museum. The customization of it to get, like, they went all in on the sort of customization of your museums when you're playing it, because having certain decorations and things like that in certain places ups like the hype meter of the people that come to visit it. So like when I was playing 2 Point Hospital, it was just like, right, okay, we can maximize space and not really think about the aesthetics of it or anything like that, apart from just putting loads and loads of medal plaques in the rooms to get a 5-star rating on the room so that the things would go up. Like
We all know
but
the way.
and this is like, oh, this relic or this like exhibit can give more hype to people if it's next to these sorts of decorations. And there's other ones that need to be kept cool because they're frozen, or things that need to be like, there's like aquariums, so obviously you need to make sure you don't put fish that might eat other fish in together because they will kill each other. Or you have to manage all the humidity and things like that, but at the same time making it look super cool because it is a museum. It's not just a management sim. It's like you want it to look really fun. You want to put all the stuff in the right order so you can get a good tour. So it's like a 5-star tour. I just think the 2 Point games are so good, and I'm glad that they're back and they're just continuing to make more of these things that make me really nostalgic for playing like Theme Hospital or Theme Park and stuff like that. When as a child, they sort of like maybe went a bit too, I'm not into like the Jurassic World survival, evolution or anything like that. They're a bit too serious, these ones, because they're like, it's very British humor as well. But like Addy's talking about like Atomfall, it's just so dumb. It's like Wallace and Gromit. It's great. And like all the visuals are great. And I think it's a fantastic game that again people might have forgot came out this year because it was a little bit earlier, and we've had just banger after banger since. But I would recommend it. I think I gave it an 8.5. But it's a really, really good game.
Yeah, I haven't got around to that one either, but I did play 2 Point Hospital and loved that. Really glad when they announced that originally, and obviously they've, as you say, have continued on with that series of games, and yeah, carrying on the lineage of Theme Hospital, Theme Hospital and Theme Park, or like Roller Coaster Tycoon and stuff that I used to play growing up. Yeah, really, really enjoyed those sorts of games.
They need to bring back Theme Park though. Like we need a 2 Point theme park, don't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. That would make a lot of sense. I mean, I would hope that that they are able to just keep going with it, because they could. I could see them doing all sorts of wacky things. Do 2 Point Space Station. Crazy stuff like that. I could see it. Doing really, really well. They could do some fun
I
stuff.
think their next one, if they take some of the things in terms of managing how the exhibits and have to be done, I reckon the next one will be like 2 Point Zoo. I think. I'll definitely go into the zoo bit of it.
Yeah.
And just all your zookeepers just probably get mauled by tigers or something. It'll be quite fun.
See that, definitely.
I'd love to see them do like 2 Point Olympics or something like sport related. I think that'd be so cool. Like a big license. That'd be such like a big. I don't think there's ever been like a management game of like sports facilities and things like that, like a big sports event. But I think that British humour would have been so cool.
Yeah. You got the Olympic Village as like that'd be great.
That'd be really fun.
Yeah.
I'd love to see that. I love campus because I work at a university, and it was nice to be the important person of a university rather than the not important person. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of fertile ground for them to try out. Hopefully, we'll see what they come up with next. My second pick for 2025 so far, I think I'm going to give it to another smaller title that I reviewed last month. Again, I think it was earlier in the month, though, or maybe it was at the end of April. A game called Paper Clay, another 3D platformer. Again, tapping into all my sort of nostalgia for that type of gameplay and genre. But it's a solo developed game, or primarily solo developed game, from a chap called Kevin Anderson, who was part of Zoink games when they were making things like Stick It to the Man and Zombie Vikings, I believe, and stuff like that. They are now Thunderful Games, who are the guys who now did the Eternal Die, funnily enough. But yeah, it's a wonderful 3D platformer. We play as another duo called, let me remember exactly, it's Chick and Nugget. And of course, you've got one who's a little chicken and one who's a little chick in an egg who sits on your back and stuff like that in your backpack. And yeah, they're trying to get all the eggs back, which have been stolen by the nefarious Nox, who is a fox, voiced by the voice actor who did Sly Cooper from the Sly Cooper games, which is very cool. And it also has a main theme by Grant Kirkhope of Rare fame, having done nearly all the music, or a lot of the music at least during their time, with Nintendo doing like Banjo-Kazooie, Diddy Kong Racing, gosh, what other ones would you have done? Probably what else is there? Maybe GoldenEye, that sort of thing. Quite a few. Perfect Dark, no doubt. Jet Force Gemini, all sorts of things. But yeah, it's just really, really fun. Very, very cute. Much more traditional as far as the sort of mechanics and stuff, as opposed to Roughing the Riverside, like I was talking about earlier. But it's made with a lot of heart, and it was wonderful talking with Kevin and having the chance to interview him and talk about going from being part of a team to then going to solo development, and just sharing our passion for 3D platformers and that sort of era of gaming back in the 90s, early 2000s. So yeah, I want to highlight that and give that a bit more attention if I can. So yeah, that'll be my second pick, is Paper Clay. All right, Adam, number 3. What's going to be the final one? We'll say it's the final one.
It's tricky. I was leaning towards Elden Ring Night Rain, but I don't feel like I've played it enough. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm really enjoying going on runs, and it's very compelling and endearing to want to play it. But very much in the theme of Elden Ring and the controversy around the Game Awards last year, I think my choice is going to be a DLC, which was probably the Lies of P Overture DLC, because I mean it's substantial for one. It's like the Elden Ring one. It should be in its own category, like the best DLC, whatever. But I do think that's been a highlight for me. Has been playing that. Lies of P is one of my favorite ever games. I absolutely love it. It's just the whole setting, just everything about it. The music's excellent, the combat's great, really satisfying. The world that they've built around it, the lore, etc. It's just superb. So when the Shadow dropped it over the Summer Game Fest nonsense, I say nonsense because there were so many showcases. But when they dropped that, I was like, oh my god, I can't play it because I've got another 17 showcases to write about, but I'll get to it eventually. But I did buy it immediately, and at first I was like, oh, it's 25 quid, which feels like quite a lot for DLC, but then Shadow of the Erdtree was 35 quid. But that's anyway. But it's like, if you're getting value for money, it's fine, isn't it? And when I was playing, I was worried I did some of the bosses, and I got through a fair bit of it. I thought, oh, that's probably going to be the end of it. It just kept going. It kept going. And it's like, oh, actually, they've really put the work in, and it's great, because what happens is you end up going back in time to before the actual events of Lies of P take place. So you're happening before the Puppet Frenzy happens. So, like, some of the characters that you encounter in the base game are in a different scenario, different circumstances and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to see what leads them to be where they are, because some of the revelations in the first game are like, oh my god, okay, so that's who that person was, and that's what they had the relationship to you as the main character and stuff. I'm trying to do it in a way that doesn't spoil any of it, because some people will pick it up for the first time or finishing off, hopefully, to go play the DLC, so I don't want to be like spoilerific. But then I was just like, oh, it's really cool. So then towards the end, the final boss as well was superb. It was really cool, like why he's there and how he got to how he is, and then that he is in the main game, but in a very different setup. And you're like, oh, okay. So that was all very cool. And all the combat is great. It doesn't feel like they phoned it in. It doesn't feel like they like, oh, these are bosses we didn't finish. They like the B-sides of bosses or anything like that. They feel like their own thing, and they some of them were proper challenging. It might be because I'm on New Game Plus 3 and was like level 360, but that might. So they were hitting hard, but like it was super fun. Like I love the challenge of it, but yeah, great environments. There's some, and they really like embrace the environment side of it as well. So the first area you go to like a zoo, and not like 2 Point Zoo, but like like corrupted swordfish jumping out of the water and then trying to just stab you. Or you've got kangaroos like that have been infected with what the decay and stuff, just like rolling at you. Like this is just it felt a little weird at first, and there's a puppet behind it and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just really cool. Just lots of good fun. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, that's probably my pick. I really enjoyed going back to that world. And I can't wait for a sequel. Hopefully, maybe more DLC, but we'll see. But yeah, I just love what they guys do. Round 8. We couldn't remember last week who it was. It was Round 8 Studios.
Well done. Yes. Yeah. No. Yeah. Again, like I think I said it last week as well. I need to get around to playing Lies of P. Definitely, it's the one that of all of them of all the sort of Souls likes that I like from Soft's games that I've been meaning to get around to. It definitely looks like a lot of fun, and with that DLC as well, even better. Mark, what is your third and final pick for 2025 so far?
Are you going to make me pick a 2025 release game? Yeah, you are, right?
Yeah. I think we are. Yeah. You could do since Adam got to do his sneaky fourth, you can do this as your sneaky fourth. What's your honorary? What's your sort of what's getting the special kind of edition?
But my special mention was released this year, though.
Oh, shut up. Let the man
I think the sneak. I think the sneaky 2020, like the previous year entry I'm going to throw in there would be Paper Mario 1000 Year Door, which I recently finished up when I was on a holiday. Absolutely love that. So that's going to be my previous year entry. Right, 2025. I'm going to leave Claire Obscure to you, Harry, because I know you're going to take that one, and you finished it. So my last one's going to be a little indie game called Finebound Tangled Together, which I reviewed for the site a couple of months ago, and is a cooperative Vampire Survivors like, so like roguelike bullet hell game, but it's all based in a vegetable patch, and it's got a unique mechanic where, because you can play it one player as well as a twin stick shooter. But although in Vampire Survivors you are constantly firing away, your shooting keeps going and going and going, or your attacks. In this, you've got a piece of vine that bumps between the two different characters that you're controlling. Every time it hits one, it triggers their attacks, and it keeps going forward and back. But the perk, like the coolness of it, is that you can either put your characters close together, which means the attacks happen more frequently, or you can space out and become a bit more kind of away from the enemies, and you're going to attack slower. So there's all like a risk reward element to it, and the runs are only about kind of, I think they're 10 minutes each, compared to Vampire Survivors, which can be 15-20 minutes, so a lot longer. But really enjoyed that. It was kind of a surprise indie actually, and I think again super cheap, few pounds. So I'm all about the cheap games at the moment, and that's not by intention. It's just the way that the things that I'm enjoying are the budget game.
It's a good thing.
That was really fun. And if you like the Vampire Survivors thing, it's smaller in scale. There's only about 3 levels. But yeah, that's available on all platforms and a good little indie, and the review's still up on the site. So yeah, recommend that to people who like the bullet hell. I think that's the right genre kind of games. So
Bullet Heaven, I believe Vampire Survivors is called. It's a bullet heaven genre.
Because like, you don't kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Bullet hell is something shoot at you, but no one shoots at you in Vampire Survivors. So they're all melee attacks, and you shoot at them. And by the time you get a build set up properly in Vampire Survivors, I've got so many hours of Vampire Survivors. It's actually embarrassing. But you can just like, if you go as like Queen Sigma at the start, and then just pick up some of the really ridiculous weapons. I can just set like my Steam Deck down on my Xbox controller and just let it melt my TV for like an hour if it's on endless mode. More than that, like 5 hours, it will just keep going. You will never die. You have to quit out of the run. And it would need an
So
epilepsy
great.
warning because goddamn.
Yeah, that's some fun though. I would like to. I'll have to go back and check out your review of that one. What was it called again, Mark?
Vine-bound, tangled together. So
Vine-bound.
really good game. About £4 on most stores. So worth checking out.
Yeah, awesome. Oh, he's got his hand raised. Yes, Adam.
Can I have a 2024 honorable mention?
Fine.
Only because, like, I finished it this year, but it only came out at the start of December, so it would have missed all of the kind of Game of the Year conversations anyway.
Okay, fair enough.
Symphonia, which I reviewed for the site and did quite a few guides for. It's just dropped on Game Pass last month. And I would just highly recommend everyone go play that because it is just fantastic. It's a really good precision platformer. There's no combat. It's you're working your way through. It's a bit Metroidvania in places you get new abilities and stuff, but it's not as involved as a Metroidvania in that respect. But you're this like conductor character. It's all based around music, and you're this conductor character that you're trying to bring some of the key musicians back to bring life back to the world, and the whole world is kind of like dying because it hasn't got music, and it's the score is fantastic, the platforming is really good, the animation is great. It's just a super fun game. It's not overly long, it's not overly involved, but I would super recommend everyone go play that, and it's on Game Pass now. If you're on that if everything's an Xbox, go play it somewhere wherever. But yeah, it was super fun, and that was my honorable mention. So.
There you go. All right.
Yeah, I started that a few weeks ago, or last week maybe, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. It is a fun game. Yeah.
There you go. I'll definitely have to pick it up. It looks like my sort of game as well, to be fair. I remember his.
Oh yeah, I really like it.
Yeah, I'll have to give that a go. Again, adding more games to the list. V, what is your third pick? And you are also allowed a 2024 honorary mention if you would like one.
I don't even know why I played the games I played in 2024 came out in 2024. Don't be absurd.
Well, go on then. Just give us your final one then for 2025 so far.
So 2025, my final one is my current 2025 Game of the Year. It came out the day after my birthday, and it is Citizen Sleeper 2 Starward Vector, which is an absolutely phenomenal game. I gave it a 9.5 in my review because Dan was lovely enough to let me review it because he knew I was super hyped for it. Because Citizen Sleeper, the first one, is one of the best games I think I've ever played. After I finished it, I just had to put the controller down. I always judge games that are they're very story focused. Like there's no voice acting or anything like that. It's just the world is fantastic. You are like a synthetic human that's essentially owned by a company that's used for like slave labor, but you manage to, get away from that company. In the first one, you sort of spend some of it being hunted, but I won't spoil any of the actual story of it. But it's about you living on one sort of derelict space station and making connections with other characters on that. But it's all dice based, so you have to use the dice that you roll at the start of the day to try and pass skill checks. But those connections that you make with other people sort of frame how the story goes, and those human connections that you make as someone who has the mind of a human but has been treated as not a human for so long is wonderful. And when it's games like that, like if I get to the end of them, and I have to put the controller down for a bit and just go and sort of lie in the middle of the floor and have an existential crisis, or in the case of the first Citizen Sleeper, cry for like 20 minutes because I was just like, good grief, this is like I don't know how to handle this. I think that's the mark of a very, very good game. So I was super hyped for Citizen Sleeper 2, and it did not disappoint in the slightest. It was so good. It moves away from just one space station, so you're on the run from people trying to hunt you, but it really goes further into those connections that you make with other people, because in this one you build a crew, and you have to go and do other missions. So there's a lot of resource management of it and things like that in terms of your fuel, or you have to move from place to place before the people that are hunting you down get to find you. But you pick up people for your crew based on certain skills they have, but also, you know, they might try and betray you. Like, you have to work out who you want to be as a person who's never been treated as a person, but also try and build up these connections to help yourself survive, but maybe also help them survive, or like get them out of tough situations. And it's just such a phenomenal game. The world that both of them are set in is fantastic. It's so lived in. It's everything you would want from almost like a cyberpunk dystopia. It's so grim, but all these little sparks of human connection and emotion, and how people can treat each other if they're not being ground down into the dirt. It's just fantastic storytelling. I know the mechanics of it might not be for everyone. It's quite slow paced. The bits where you have to like repair your dice because you've got overly stressed on a mission, or you just don't roll well, can seem frustrating, but it all adds into the sort of very grim reality of this world that you're in, and you have to try and rely on others. And I also had a big cry at the end, because we all have a big cry. Yeah, I would highly recommend it to anyone. Even if you think that those are not necessarily the sort of games that you like, if you genuinely believe that video games are art and you love storytelling, I think it sort of behooves you to try and check out both Citizen Sleeper and Citizen Sleeper 2, because they're some of the best storytelling in video games, in my humble opinion.
It is another series I need to get around to. I do know how special it is, and yeah, I need to play the first and second one. I take it, do you need to have played the first two and get the most out of the second one?
The stories are mostly disconnected. So, but I would recommend playing the first one first, obviously, to just to immerse yourself in the sort of reality of the world that you're in. You can finish the first one in about 6 to 8 hours. There's multiple endings and things like that, but which I went back to do all of them. But I would definitely, the mechanics are a little bit different, but I would recommend both of them.
Very cool. Citizen Sleeper 2. Okay. And my final pick is, as you quite rightly predicted, Mark, it will be Clair Obscur Expedition 33. I will not regale everybody with how great that game is. A lot of the world already knows it. And if you have not got around to trying it out, I suggest you do. It is, I think, going to... I feel very, very good that it will probably be this year's game of the year. I don't feel like that's too much of a stretch at this moment in time. And we've already had a lot of good games come out this year. But yeah, it's a phenomenal game. It's up there as one of my favorite games of all time. I gave it a 10 out of 10. Check out my review. I did a bunch of guides for it. We did a whole slew of guides for that game. So definitely worth checking out. But yeah, it's phenomenal. It's a wonderful love letter to traditional JRPGs, turn-based combat. It's a wonderful first game from a new studio, Sample Interactive, based out of France. Small team, obviously with support, but core team of 30 people. And yeah, just please play Clair Obscur Expedition 33. It is very, very good and very special. So yeah.
Sorry, I was worried you were going to spoil something, so
I guessed, yeah. But no, I think that those will be our picks then for 2025 so far. And yeah, and we are going to be winding down this episode now with our last section, as always, which is what we are looking forward to. And the other game that came out today was Death Stranding 2. I think we may have mentioned that briefly earlier, but that's probably going to be my one. I'm very excited for that. I'm not going to have the chance to get around to it anytime soon, unfortunately, but it is the next thing I'm probably most excited to play. I really enjoyed the first one. It took me a while to eventually get around to playing it. I was like a lot of people, I was very skeptical about it. I was pulled in with the weirdness and then turned off a lot by the career kind of gameplay focus. And then eventually went and actually, picked it up. I picked the director's cut version of it, added a whole bunch of extra bits to it, which really, really elevated the experience. It's a special, again, another unique, special Hideo Kojima masterpiece. And from the sound of things, from the looks of reviews, Death Stranding 2 on the beach looks to be another one. So I'm very excited for that. Mark, what are you looking forward to?
I think my most anticipated game of the year, and it still doesn't have a release date, is something called Mixtape. And I just love kind of teen TV shows or like kind of teen high school TV stuff, teen high school games, be it Life is Strange, be it Rash on Netflix, about teens in high school. My wife takes the piss out of me all the time for the kind of TV that I watch in that space. Be it Never Have I Ever, all that kind of stuff. Anything that's humorous or got music involved, I love that. But I think Mixtape is definitely my most anticipated game of the year. I really can't wait for it to get a release date. It's coming day one on Game Pass. Really hoping to be able to review for that for the site and get my hands on it early. But looks like it's going to have an amazing track list with it as well. There's Smashing Pumpkins, Iggy Pop, The Banshees, Joy Division, and all those kind of bands have featured in the trailers for the game. So that's my most anticipated game for this year. So at the moment, I think. And please, Annapurna, just put out another banger, because you just deliver bangers all the time. So give us another one. And that's definitely what I can't wait for this year.
Yeah, makes it looking very, very cool. Adam, how about you, buddy? What is your next most anticipated game, or the one you're next looking forward to?
I think it's Wu Chang Fallen Feather, fellas. I really looking forward to that. Everything I've seen about that just looks super fun. I hope it plays as well as it looks like it does. But it's either that. I said Donkey Kong last week, but it's that, and but I'm really intrigued by Mafia: The Old Country as well. I think that's I think that the kind of refining of it and not making it like a massive open worldy game type thing is more compelling and make it more about the narrative. And I think if they tell a really good story and the gameplay is fun, I think that would be really good as well. I think so. They're probably my next couple. I'm not sure what my most anticipated game of the year is, but then the next couple that I'm looking forward to for sure.
Yeah, some good solid picks there, definitely. V, what will be your, or some of your most anticipated games for the rest of this year?
Oh, there's so many. I think, yeah, there's probably too many, to be perfectly honest. My most anticipated game for 2025, even though it does not have a release date, but they did say 2025, is Slay the Spire 2. I know earlier when I was talking about Crown Gambit, I was like, not everything needs to be a deck building roguelike, but Slay the Spire is one of my favourite games of all time, and it is the best to ever do it. So I'm like, I'm completely fine with more Slay the Spire. Please give it to me as soon as humanly possible. Yeah, I never really thought I was into roguelikes, and then I played a little bit of Dead Cells on Game Pass, and I was like, damn, this is very, very, very good. And maybe it's because I had previously gotten into Dark Souls. I was like, oh, maybe bashing your head against the wall until you break through the wall as a sheer force of will is actually quite fun. And then but I was like, but stuff like Slay the Spire and things like that, again, as I've pointed out, I am frequently quite dumb. I was like, yeah, action roguelike, fine. Strategic roguelike, yeah, I'm never going to get my head around this. And it did take me a long time to get my head around it. But one day, I think it was in the pub actually, because I play a lot. I used to play a lot on my phone through Game Pass, through the cloud gaming, and now I play it quite a lot on my Steam Deck. But one run just clicked, and I beat like the actual final boss of the heart. And I was like, oh my god, that's it. This is it. This has changed my entire brain chemistry forever. So when it came up last year, I think on the Triple I initiative as their opener saying Slay the Spire 2, I was like, well, that's another 700 hours going into something. So that would definitely be my most anticipated game of 2025. I need it in my life.
Yeah. I mean, that's it, isn't it? I mean, we've just reeled off a whole bunch of brilliant games that have come from the first half, and there is still so many games to come in the second half, and that's really what this episode's been about, is just highlighting that, there have been some really amazing games this year already, and we've still got so many more to go. We're only halfway. The conversation around awards season is going to get nuts. I'm sure of it. We've had some pretty incredible years already. This is set up to be another one. And yeah, there's just so much good stuff to play right now. But I think with that, we're going to wrap up this episode of the Gamer Social Club Weekly News Podcast. So thank you, you three, for joining me today, of course, to record. Always fun to hang out with all of you. And thank you to you for watching/listening. We really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed this, please leave a like, leave a comment in the comment section. If you're listening to us on podcast services, do whatever the things are you could do over there. I'm assuming it's rating systems, 5 stars, that sort of jazz. I don't really know, I'm afraid. And yeah, of course, subscribe to the Jazz Hands, obligatory Jazz Hands. But yeah, consider subscribing to the channel for more of our weekly news podcasts and our other podcasts as they come out. And yeah, we will be here again next week. So yeah, thank you, everyone. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Play some great games, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.